Right, so we're on to creating our user interface. What I'm going to do is, just down from my connect script, I'm just going to echo out some page display. I'm going to create a HTML header tag, and that's going to be mailing list. And then what I'm going to do after this, I'm just going to write send to, and I'm going to do a paragraph break here. Okay, so after this we need to incorporate a form into our page, and I'm going to do this again by echoing out, this time on a separate line, just to sort of keep things simple. I'm going to say form action equals, and obviously we're going for our send.php, so we need to send all the data to this. And the method for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep it as get. Feel free to change it to post, as long as along the tutorial when you're using the $_get, make sure you change it to $_post, but feel free to change this to post because your data then won't be shown, although you're presumably the only person that's going to come into contact with this script. Okay, so we've created the start of our form, and then just below here I'm going to create the end of our form. And obviously inside here we're going to have all of our form elements, so the users that we need to send this form to, this email to, and also the message that we're going to include. Okay, so just to start, along the way we're going to need to create some kind of way of knowing how many users are retrieved from the database. So I'm going to have a few setup variables here. If you don't understand what these are for now, type them in anyway if you're following, and you'll get the hang of why I've used them. I'm going to put mail count first equals 0, okay, and the name count equals 0, and this is used for the email address of each person, and this is used for the name of each person, and this is going to be in our eventual loop to grab everything from the database. And this comes in the form of a MySQL query, and the MySQL query is basically going to get everything from our mailing list table where the send value equals 1. So what we're doing is we're checking here for all these records, but where this send equals 1, not where it equals 0. So this get variable is going to be a MySQL query, and the query is as follows: select, and we're selecting everything from in capitals mailing list, which is our table name. I'm just going to say where send equals 1 in inverted commas. It can be out of inverted commas because it is in fact an integer value. And now what I need to do is I'm going to use a loop, and this loop is going to loop through every single record that has been returned from this query, and then from that it's going to construct a HTML checkbox, and from this checkbox we can check record, i.e. each user that is stored inside each record, and we can check whether we want to send email to them or not. So we're going to use a while loop for this because we need to incorporate some sort of like value in here. This is basically going to be a variable called getRow, and we're going to use the MySQL fetch associate function. And what this does, associative, sorry, basically associative in terms of arrays, fetches an array with a label. So arrays usually are in this form, sort of like array 0, array 1, 2. Now what we're doing is we're working with array and then sort of like ID, first name, so we can retrieve values from the database in this way. The variable to put in here is the query that we've executed, because this query needs to go in this part here, so that's why we've stored it in a query up here. So we've called this getRow, and getRow now is an array. So what we can do is things like echo getRow, let's say email, and then we can, let's say, concatenate using a full stop, a line break after that, and then obviously if we run this code, you can see that we've got our email addresses out here, as well as our header and send to. There you go. But what we need to do is we need to put these into some kind of checkbox in order to select which people we want to send the email to. Yep, got it, email. Okay, so the way we do this is we need to set up, bear in mind this is all within our form here. This can in fact go down here to make things simpler. I'll just put that down there. So as long as you've got the while loop here and the block here between the form end, start and the form end, then you'll be okay. And in here we're going to create an input type of a checkbox, and the name of this checkbox is going to be mail underscore, and this is going to confuse you. We're going to concatenate in the mail count, and basically this is saying mail 0 and then mail 1 for each record, and then the we can end that there, and then the value of this is, again, this is going to confuse you. It's going to be, in fact no, it's not going to confuse you at all. What we're doing is we're concatenating in the get row email. So we're putting the email into the mail value. So mail 0 will be the first email address, mail 1 will be the second email address. And then after that, we need to write just a massive capital letter outside of any inverted commas checked. And basically this will do is, if we refresh, it will create our checkboxes that are already checked. Now obviously we need a line break after this, and then we need some information just after this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say dot get row first name, and then I'm going to concatenate a space, and then I'm going to concatenate the get row last name, and then obviously on the end of this I'm going to do another line break. So if we refresh, oh no, we've put an extra line break in here when we don't need one. So if we refresh there, we can see that we've got a tick box for Alex Garrett and Alexander University, the two records that we have in our database. So we've got a checkbox, and if we check out the page source, you can see that we've got mail 0. We've got an extra little thing there which we don't need. Let's just fix that. Mail. Okay, let's refresh. Okay, so we've got mail 0 there is equal to my email address there, and we've got mail mail count plus because we're adding a value on each time. Let's go back here, refresh, and view the source. Okay, so we have mail 0 is equal to alexheadon@hotmail.com, and mail 1, because we've added our plus, is equal to my other email address, and that says check there, so we're both checked there. So we basically created a little checkbox list of which you can choose who you want the email sent to. And in the next part we're going to add a bit to this. We're going to include the email address after each name, and we're also going to include the rest of the form, so the text area to type the message and stuff like that. So the next part will do that. I'll see you soon.